Hey everybody, it's Minius. This is part 2 of my 3-part lore video on Galactic civilization. If you missed the first one, there's a link in the description box. It covers the mass relay system and explains why the Citadel is so important. But this video is about the Galactic Council and how it impacts the races of the galaxy. As most of you know, the coalition of the Asari, Solarians, and Turians is fairly new. Their interactions are largely dependent on the Citadel and the mass relay system, which they simply found. In fact, there may have been tens of thousands of civilizations before theirs. Unfortunately, almost all of that history is lost. We pretty much only have information on 2 of those civilizations. The first one, and the one right before this one. A billion or so years ago, a seafaring alien race known as the Leviathans dominated the other species of the galaxy, or at least those other species paid tribute to them. 50,000 years ago, the Protheans dominated the other species of the galaxy, literally forcing those who they met to become Prothean, or else. The current civilization you find during the games does something weird. They share power. Now, it's impossible to tell exactly how weird this is because so much information on previous cycles is lost, but it's not hard to imagine a species taking control if they could. In fact, if the first species to reach the Citadel was the Turians, or even the Krogan, things might be very different. Perhaps they'd have taken control of the galaxy like the Leviathans and Protheans before them. But the Turians didn't reach the Citadel first. The Asari did, a little less than 3,000 years before the Mass Effect trilogy. As a result, Galactic civilization closely resembles their civilization, and the Asari traditionally spread their influence through cultural domination and intellectual superiority. When they invite new advanced species to join the Galactic community, they know that their ideas and beliefs will ultimately influence the culture of the newcomers. The Solarians showed up on the Galactic scene not long after the Asari settled on the Citadel, and it was the Asari who proposed the formation of the Galactic Council, effectively sharing power with the new arrival. After a turbulent couple of centuries involving Rachni wars and Krogan rebellions, the Turians showed up on the Galactic scene, and their help in defeating the Krogan earned them a spot on the Council as Galactic Peacekeepers. These 3 alien races formed a sort of harmony in watching over a large chunk of the galaxy, with each species bringing something to the table. The Asari provide diplomacy and mediation, the Solarians add intelligence gathering and ingenuity, the Turians add military strength and peacekeeping. None of these races are powerful enough to defy the others, and ultimately all agree that they are much stronger together than they would be apart. Their joint government proved incredibly effective as they brought peace and prosperity to themselves and the majority of their allies for about 1,400 years before the Reapers showed up on the scene. But what does the Council do exactly? We aren't told the exact extent of their power, but we do know that the Council does not control the affairs of individual alien races, but they do mediate disputes between them, and often their decisions have a large impact on the galactic community as a whole. The Council can decide which species have the rights to colonize garden or habitable worlds. The Council can call for bans on things like artificial intelligence research, slavery, and the use of weapons of mass destruction on garden worlds. Other sapient species who come along can create an embassy on the Citadel, effectively becoming an associate member of the Council. These associate members theoretically share the protection of the Council races, but are bound by Citadel conventions. They may bring issues to the attention of the Council, but have no direct input on the decision the Council makes. Virtually every sapient species is or has been an associate member of the Galactic Council. The Volus were the first species to become an associate member, joining shortly after the Council's formation. They maintain a Citadel embassy even though they later became a client race of the Turians. The Hanar and Elcor are associate members, though no time frame is given on how long they've been a part of the community. It's unclear whether or not the Drell have their own embassy or allow the Hanar to speak for them. The human race gained a Citadel embassy in 2165, 18 years before the events of the first Mass Effect, and just 8 years after first contact with the Turians. This was met with some dismay by the Galactic community because it's not uncommon for it to take a century or more for a new species to be granted an embassy in the first place. The Krogan had a Citadel embassy, but lost it when they tried to annex the Asari colony of Lucia and then refused to leave, starting the Krogan rebellions. The Quarians also had a Citadel embassy, but lost it after their robotic servants, the Geth, gained consciousness and startled the Galactic community, among many other things. The Batarians were also an Associate Council member until 2171, when they left the Citadel in protest when the Council declined to stop human expansion. The term Citadel Space is neat, but it's entirely unofficial and sort of a misnomer. It refers to the territory held by each Council race, member or associate. But in reality, the majority of this space is unexplored, and the territory that is held is simply made up of the systems closest to the regional mass relay. The vast majority of sapient species you come across in the Milky Way come from homeworlds that reside in or right next to Citadel space. Outer Council space contains the Citadel, but also the Asari homeworld of Thessia and the Elcor homeworld of Dakuna. Inner Council space contains the Solarian homeworld of Surkesh, the Turian homeworld of Palavin, the Volus homeworld of Arun, and the Krogan homeworld of Tuchanka, mainly because the Krogan aren't in a position to do anything about it. The area of the Milky Way labeled Earth Systems Alliance space isn't entirely controlled by the Alliance because it contains the Batarian homeworld of Karshan and, of course, the human homeworld of Earth. So almost every race you run into is packed into this corner of the galaxy. We aren't told exactly where the Hanar and Drell homeworlds are. If I had to guess, I think they're close together and possibly in inner council space near the Batarian homeworld. At least the Hanar and Batarians continued trading goods and intelligence with each other, even though the Batarians cut themselves off from the rest of the races of the galaxy. Of course, there's absolutely nothing that confirms that guess. The further you move away from Council space, the more lawless things get. Many Citadel races, like the humans, launch expeditions into the Attican Traverse, though there isn't a strong governmental presence there. On the opposite side of the galaxy are the Terminus systems. This region of the galaxy is supposedly home to a loose affiliation of minor species, who are united only in their refusal to acknowledge the political authority of the Council or adhere to the Citadel conventions. That's straight from the Codex in the original Mass Effect. However, we never see these minor races except for maybe the Vorcha, whose homeworld of Heshtak is located at the edge of the galaxy, and it's entirely possible that these species were written out of Mass Effect.
You die now! Not yet! That line comes later. The Vorcha Counselor will kindly refrain from further interruptions.
So instead, the Terminus systems are full of pirates, slavers, and outcasts. Batarians and Krogan find refuge there along with other individuals refusing to bow to a larger authority. The Quarian flotilla can often be found there, as they are generally shunned from other regions of the galaxy and even bribed to stay away from inhabited systems by the locals. Their former homeworld of Rannoch is also located in the Terminus systems. While the Council doesn't like to send in their fleet for fear of uniting the disunified factions of the region, they do not simply leave these systems alone. For instance, the Solarian Special Task Group is highly active in the area, sowing discontent and undermining those who are too powerful. And of course, the Council doesn't mind sending a Spectre into the area to do some damage. Now, in the final part of Galactic Civilization, we'll look at life on the Citadel itself. But if you like this video, please give it a like. It really helps out the channel. Keep an eye out for part 3 and other Mass Effect videos. But for now...
Your line. Say your line. You die now! Oh no! The Vorcha Counselor is indoctrinated!